Hello! Today I'm trying to record something about frustration and what it does to your mind. And once it alters your mind, it will alter your body because the mind is the point of entry of any disease. Unless it's some sort of illness related to an infection, but even those are allowed by the brain. How is that? Because the brain can control the body emotions and the immune system and health, general health, by your lifestyle, by what you eat, so diet, by exercise, your activities, your environment. So the brain is the point of entry. Oh, look at the so some event at the airport with lots of cops. I don't know what's going on with ambulances. So I did not intend to record this one now, but if they see me holding the camera, they could pull me on the side. But since they are busy, probably busy with an incident or accident, I don't know what's going on. Probably they won't get out of the car to kick me in the butt and give me a ticket, right? So I take advantage of that and show you that the storm at the Vancouver airport is still going. They announced 90-kilometer wind gust today. So I saw it was very strong earlier today, and now it's not that strong. I did monitor the air traffic control. I did monitor the air. Oh yeah, it's a big collision there. So like someone got dinged a little bit. It happens all the times in a big city. So for me, it's now not big of a news. So what happened? That's okay. Yeah, life moves on, and insurance take care of stuff. So I'm not impressed. So I will have to stop somewhere because here is the spot where is the best view for watching the airplanes. Actually, I could do something to park my car. Let me see who's coming now. I can park right here. It says no parking. No parking. My name is George. Yes. Do not park in front of the gate. I never forgot my name is George, so I'm not going to park. I'll break the rules, but just like a half of it, you know. And so don't break the laws, don't break the rules, but if you don't get caught, especially if you don't hurt anyone. So right now I'm not parking here to be a jerk. I'm just letting my car rest for a bit while I take some recordings of these airplanes landing, and while I'm recording about frustration. So that's my type of recording. I do say stuff that are not really related to the topic. That's my little car. And look at this. That's a little airplane. Let's see how this guy is going to manage the landing. Oh, nice. Look at that. So, you see? Oh, I'm really impressed how they try. Look at that. So here the engine, so he's managing the propeller speed to change the thrust. And look at that, oh, now he is crabbing, he put his nose on the side a little bit. Okay, touchdown, now nice. Good, he made it nicely. Of course, everyone is making it, otherwise they would not allow people to land here. And two more are coming, so I'm going back to the frustration. So today a number of airplanes were I walked it from Vancouver International to Victoria International, where probably it was a calmer weather, and and of course a bunch of people, like probably a couple of hundreds of people, were stranded into that airport, so they missed the connection. Probably they had to take another plane from Vancouver, go somewhere else, and they missed that. And imagine how frustrated that situation could be. Look at this. This guy is also crabbing. So he is not. What means crabbing? He is not aligned on the direction of flying. So his tail is on the side when compared to the axis. And if you look, wow. That's such a skill, especially for look that he's not really aligned, but he's not big of a crabbing. He's just so tiny. Pushed by this wind, so I guess it's like 50 something kilometers an hour. I don't know if you can hear anything. So I'm going back in the car so I can continue. Not sure if you were able to hear anything, but I'm not going to edit anything. I never edit my recording, so I don't really care if people watch what I'm recording or not. So hundreds of people probably got stranded into Victoria Airport. So I'm repeating some stuff in case you could not hear me earlier because of the strong wind outside. And imagine the frustration. So I used to get frustrated when I had young kids, especially with my first kid. I did not have life experience. I did not know how to deal with all sorts of situations that were not according to what I wanted or what I wanted to see, or that were not convenient to me or something like that. So when you see something unexpected and you don't know how to deal with that, especially when you have a plan or you go by some rule or something, it's very tempting to lose your emotions, the control of your emotions, and that leads to frustrations. So let me tell you oh, I didn't see this little thing. Okay, now that's kind of a shake the poor guy is getting. Ooh, yes, he went 20 degrees bank on landing. So for a big airplane, 20 degrees, it was not 10, I'm telling you, it was about 20 degrees. It was kind of like that. So 10 is, so 0 degrees, about 5, 10, he was about that. So 45 is like that, 30 is like that, 20 is like that. So he had a good bank, and that's not really good when you're close to the ground, because you might touch some stuff. Of course, he's a skilled professional pilot, I'm not. But I'm saying, it could be scary when you are about to land and you get a gust and you see you need to fix it. So how you fix it? So they don't let the really small airplanes to land here in such strong conditions. And that one was a tiny one. It was not a Cessna. It was much bigger than that, but was not like one of those big airliner jets. Yeah, three more are coming, one after another. So the spacing, it's about 40 seconds to 1 minute. It's such a dense traffic here, such a busy airport. And look at the sunset, in case you are getting bored with my talk here. But honestly, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who. Ooh, that's another one banking. Crabbing a lot. So I think the winds are picking up significantly. So let's show you this one. I think I should move the car because you can see. Okay, so let's see. If I move the car, can you see? Maybe. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, but this guy is big and heavy. Ooh, even he had a 5-10 degrees or something bank on the landing. Wow, must be scary. Must be scary. So, and back to frustration. So you, based on my life observation for years and years, remember that frustration is the building block for depression. Okay, I'll repeat that. Frustration is the building block for depression. So how it goes, I think I have only 10 minutes, so I'm good. So usually I record half an hour. So, but I promise I won't keep you that long because I want to get out and I want to record the airplanes. Yes, and so I'm going to make a short explanation. Frustration leads to depression, building blocks. So when you build your reality, you don't build it suddenly. You don't move somewhere into a new continent like I did. I did. So I got to Canada. I moved to Canada, and I had to change the reality. And was a big, sudden, dramatic change between a former communist system and something totally new, where you see something like the train that goes on the top, like a sky train they have here. The cars, cars are kind of the same, but language is totally different. People, different colors of people. So in Romania, only white people, Caucasians. If you see dark color skin, you think that's a gypsy or something, and you stay away from those because they are aggressive and bullies and all sort of stuff that you don't want to deal with those. And so if you avoid those, most people are kind of white color, Caucasians. Not much brown, not much black, but when we got here, it was a big change. So it was stressful for the mind to adapt. It's a big change. If you are a kid, someone else takes the stress. My kids, for example, they were young, my oldest kids, and I had to take the stress. They did not have to care about finding a job, finding food, cooking, paying the rent, and finding rent, and all that stuff. That was on our shoulders as parents, and it's not easy. It's not easy. I can tell you that. And the pressure, if you don't have the life experience to take the pressure, you put pressure on yourself, and slowly is damaging your health. But when you come in here, let's say you change the reality kind of sudden, but normally you don't. You might have the same reality for the 50-60 years. If nothing changes in your environment around you, then you have the same reality. So you have the same friends, the same air temperature, the same seasons, everything is consistent. So that's your real world. That's the way you see it, you understand it, you sense it. I see some sort of a noises. I don't know, it's a truck or it's just the wind that's blowing hard. And so you don't change much that reality, but let's say slowly you have kids, and slowly they grow up. So that's a change in the reality, because you had young kids 10 years ago, now you have older kids, you have teenagers or something like that, which act differently. They are different. So you change your reality, what's the mind has to process, and what's the surrounding, what you feel, who you are, what you are. So now you are older, your kids are older, you talk differently, you talk with the kids differently, different topics. So you change the reality you live in, but it was such a slow change that you don't realize unless you look at your pictures. You look at your your old pictures with the family and friends and adventures and stuff and trips you took, places with the kids. And now you go back in time in the past and you say, yeah, I remember 10, 15, 20 years ago, look at that, wow, wow, wow. So then you realize, when you remember in the morning you had a look at your face, you remember how old you got and stuff. So you figure that some changes were made, but very slow. So it did not affect your mind in a suddenly to put too much pressure on you. And you had to learn. You when you went through these changes, you learn how to adapt. Slow, very, very slow, because you had very tiny changes. And it's gone. The sun is gone. And I don't see. Oh, 2 more airplanes are coming. They do the same type of balancing act, trying to align with the runway, which is always interesting to see. And so going back to my topic, so you see these tiny changes, and you learn and you adapt, and over the years and with the aging you kind of know how to deal with those experiences, especially those repeating ones, because you've been through that. Even as a life trap, you've been through that, so you don't take the stress in the same way. So you see the older people kind of are more relaxed, and also they learn that life is short and they want to enjoy it. They don't want to add more stress, unless they are really old and not really wise people, and never got wiser, never grew up. Oh, look at that poor guy. So since I'm here, I haven't seen any of those go-arounds, like those pilots canceling the landing and going for another circuit. That means it's not really strong, and of course the pilots are professional. So again, it's not too bad of a day today. So the what I'm saying about the changes in your mental attitude and the way you deal with life and events, they're slow, and you have time to react and adapt and learn, and next time you are better at dealing with the same type of situation, like kids don't do their homework or something, or kids don't do their dishes or stuff, and when you have let's say frustrations that you don't know how to deal with. So I was talking about those who learn how you deal with, but you have those who don't learn from them, you don't change, you don't adapt and change in a positive way to affect other people in a positive way, like take it with calm, with tact, with diplomacy, or get a positive outcome of every situation. So if you don't do that, and every time you think that by making kind of a scoffing noises or all sort of frustration noises to show other people how upset you are, or just releasing some of the stress that way, and if you never correct it, guess what? So one frustration today, one frustration another day, another day. Those are little tiny pressures you put on yourself. It's stress, which in the brain, what they do, they trigger certain hormones in your body, and it's a response. It's a response to stress. So the brain always listens to the body in case. Yeah, that's another tiny one. I don't know what it is. But you see, the tiny ones, the little ones, they do balance more. They oh, look, yes. So he got a gust, so I had to fix it. So you may not see it in the image, because I did set the camera to record at very low resolution, so I don't want to occupy too much of a YouTube space. So I do record a higher resolution when it's some sort of a adventure where it's important for the my viewers, my relatives, or whoever watches this, to see details, so they see some mountains in the distance. But if it's just about my face or something, it's not really important to record high res videos. Okay, so now about the so building up these little stress responses by the body, so the brain is trying to kind of accommodate. So of course it's not going to be a huge impact on your mental health, but you don't build this little frustrations one at a time. You don't build it up in a short period of time. You build it over the time. So when you look at how people build houses, they don't build a house made out of big huge blocks. They do in certain countries when they come with concrete panels or side panels, and they put it together and they make the house much faster. But even then, they don't just come with a house that is ready made and just plant it somewhere. Usually when you build something, you build it out of small pieces. Even you build a car or machinery equipment or something like that, you build it out of small pieces until it grows into a bigger stuff, until it's a fully complete product. The same with the depression. So you have these little frustrations that it slowly alter your mind and your reality. So you slowly change. You don't realize that you change, or those little moments of frustrations are changing you, the way you act and you react to the environment and changes in the environment. But they do make a change, and those little changes, if you had those changes all summed up and dumped into someone's shoulders or head or mind at once, it would be a huge pressure. It would cause that person to probably get into a mental shock or some stuff like that. It would be too much of a pressure at once. It's like someone in your family dies, and it's a sudden surge of pressure on yourself, on stress, on those emotions. Or your dog dies, or your kid goes to prison, or any huge events in your life, major changes in or some news in your life, those put huge pressure. So some people get out with gray hair. Overnight they grow gray hair. It's such a big impact that those news have on a person. But talking about the little moments of frustration, they are distributed over 10 years, 15, 20 years. So you don't get that much pressure all at once. And I'll remind you, it's a topic I mentioned about in other recordings, about the frog that's put in a boiling water experiment. So the experiment, if you are not aware of it, it's basic. You learn it in a school. They take a frog and put it in hot water. The frog would jump out if the hot water is not hot enough to burn her skin. But if it's, let's say, 50-60 degrees, the frog sends the hot water and jumps out. And if you take that frog, because it's a sudden change, so the survival mechanism in the frog brain makes them to respond very quickly to maintain the life into that frog, and acts to the muscles, and the muscle will make the whole body to jump out of the water. Now if you take that frog and put it in room temperature water or cold water, leave it there, the frog might swim around, or might try to use or know the environment, the new water you put the frog in, and will stick around. And now if you start heating up that water, the frog won't feel it, won't sense it. And when the water temperature reaches like 50-60 Celsius degree, the frog dies, because the frog does not react to this slow change. So that happens with changes for your mind. So the mind get kind of used to things, get used to that state of mind, the frustration and the reaction of the brain to the little frustration. And in the meanwhile, it's still building up. It's still building up, like I mentioned about building blocks for a house or an equipment or something like that. So my kind of way of saying about it is like you build your own prison made out of this frustration bricks. So, and what happens, many people don't even leave windows to see the world. So they build a prison, kind of start building a wall around, because nobody wants to stick around the upset and frustrated people who are frustrated all the times. So once you build that frustration type of attitude, you can't keep displaying that. It's part of your nature. So you get frustrated very, very easy because you train yourself. You train yourself to get frustrated out of nothing. At first time you try is kind of a practicing frustration. And it takes some effort, some energy from outside to push you, to tip you over. Then you get frustrated. But over the time you train yourself. You are always training. You train to eat differently. You train to walk. You train to you retrain to keep walking, to maintain your balance. You know, you are always under training, self-training or other people training. Even your husband or wife or your life partner is training you, is trying to train you how to do the dishes, or you know, what they do. They don't give you sex, or they don't give you the same love or something if you don't do something that pleases them, or something that they need. Okay, so you see that, oh yeah, I'm not getting the same things like before, she must be upset or something. So you start acting so you get back your benefits or your whatever you get, and she is now happy or he is now happy, and you are a well-trained dog. So you can train yourself, or you can be trained by other people. Even at workplace, they tell you, you know, you follow the rules or we'll fire you. So you train not only how to perform a job, but also how you please others. And you are training yourself how to be frustrated and how to display frustration, and how you show other people how upset you are and how things they do affect you and make you upset. So you probably don't want to keep it to yourself. You want to show some other people that, you know, I'm so upset. And it works with some people, like in a big corporate environment. You see upset secretary or something, or upset manager or something, and people are saying behind their back, you know, don't mess up with John, because John is it's easy to tip off, and she'll go to the manager, she'll tell the manager, you know, you did something stupid or something. So, or don't piss off that guy because he can kick you out, or he can take your jobs and give the jobs to someone else, and then they don't need you anymore or something. So make sure don't upset those. So it works for many. So it's a kind of a bullying technique they use to intimidate and to get what they want. And if you are naive, you take it because you don't want to change in your life. If you see a change in your life, you might get frustrated. So again, you have to kind of reconsider how you react to. That's kind of a low, but they follow a special signal, an ILS signal, that tell them you are on the right path. Then another signal tell them you are too high, too low. And then they have visual signals that they tell them you are too low or too high. And there are lots of systems for safety, especially when they fly in the evening and at night, or in the fog. Lots of times it's fog here. And imagine these pilots, if they could let themselves to be frustrated every day. But they have to be cool. They have to be aware of these psychological changes, because it affects how they fly the airplane. And it can affect other people's safety, and can affect their job in the future, because they go to under all sort of medical testing, and if they are not fit to be a pilot, especially a big airline pilot, they do psychological tests and stuff. If they are not fit, then they are not allowed to fly these big machines, and they lose their job. So these people have to be professional and really aware of their mental health. Now going back to, so people, like I said, they train themselves how to be frustrated, and they let other people to train them if they are not aware of what happens around, or if they are not trained in dealing with stress and frustration. And so you see these people building these little blocks and building a wall. Like I said, not many people want to deal with those who display frustration, and so now they lose friends, they lose partners this bigger and fat one. And so they build this type of a wall, a kind of a prison cell around them, and sometimes they are so depressed and so into this type of mental health trouble, they forget to leave a window to see the world, or to let the light to shine inside of their prison. And once they are enclosed in that prison, nobody from outside can break the wall. Sometimes the wall is thin, and people from outside can hear the banging, and they try to break the wall to help the prisoner to escape. And if the prisoner has the willpower to want to get out, yes, it can happen. Miracle can happen. So the prisoner can accept the help from outside, not with a medication, but can accept the help, and together from inside and from outside, it's enough force to break that thin wall. But some people are so good at learning how to build a very thick and strong wall out of this frustration. So when they get into depression, it's very, very difficult to break that wall. And if they don't have a window so people from outside cannot hear the scream, if they don't have a way to communicate with them, because they close all the windows of communication with the outside world, because the depression that does to the mind, it isolates people. So if there is no window of communication, the light or the energy of any type of communication or information flow cannot go in and out, the person will live there forever. And it's sad that it's preventable. It's really preventable by education, by training, but there are no social programs. And so some people are able to manage this. They are aware, they have enough brain power to be able to notice and correct on time, like the airplane pilots. They have instruments, then they see their flight path, and they see, okay, if I keep going this way, I end up beside the runway, and I injure myself and people around me. But if they pay attention on time, they pay attention ahead of time to prevent too much of a drift, too much of a sink, too much of a power loss, or maybe engine malfunction or whatever can go wrong, then they will make it on the right runway with everyone safe. That's like a life journey. So you have to make sure you pay attention to all the signs that can get you off the tracks. Okay, so again, frustration is the building block for depression. So pay attention to those signs on people around you, on your kids, on yourself, and learn how to deal with those little frustration times. And once you are training yourself how to deal with those, how you ignore the pressure that's being put by other people on you, how to ignore it, or how you deflect it. You can deflect it if you want, and then you will lead a healthier mind. So I will let you now. I thought I'm going to record only like 10 minutes, but it's already 36 minutes, and I hope at least you saw some airplanes landing here at Vancouver International Airport. If my talk was too boring, and you can actually press some buttons on your screen to fast forward the image. I don't mind it at all. But if you got the essence, and if you got something useful, you can leave a comment if you want. You can send me a feedback. You know my contact info. You can say thank you for the great life advice. I don't mind to take thanks. People thank me during my work time at my workplace. Customers are thankful because I do make an impact with my work. I do help them communicate better with their teams and in their environment. So I hope this side of my life, which is kind of studying people and the mind, might help someone one day. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.